Okay, well, let's get going. I think everybody's pretty much here. Thank you for joining. My name is Derek Major. I'm with Eligeo Business Solutions. I'm out of Vancouver. Today we are doing a walkthrough on some Monday.com features. This is kind of one of the interesting webinars I get to do. The new features I'm going to go over today actually only came out about, I think it's just over a week ago. So I've played with it a little bit, but today we're going to start from scratch and we're going to kind of do an exploration type of thing on Monday.com today. So you're going to be kind of learning as I go through it too. Then we'll point out some things and talk a little bit about apps in general. Our company has been working with Monday.com to actually build out our own custom apps. So you'll see partners actually coming out with apps coming up soon too. So some pretty interesting stuff coming from that part of the world on Monday.com and the whole Work 2.0 concept that they've come up with. So our agenda is fairly light, which is good. Well, at least the agenda looks light compared to last week. Really, we're just going to be exploring the Monday.com apps over probably the next 20 minutes or here. So then after that, we'll open up QA. I had to shut down a little bit early last time, so I'm going to try and leave a little bit more time for QA compared to last week. But then again, if I don't manage to get through all of the items, I mean that's fine. I will post any follow-up questions and things onto the blog. And if you got this through the newsletter, you'll know that I'll send an update out just like that we did earlier this week. So I encourage you to ask lots of questions. If you do have questions, and even if it has nothing to do with apps, I mean, I'm happy to try and answer the questions as best as I can. And if I can't answer them, I will certainly find an answer for you. So explore apps and then we'll get to QA. So let's just jump right in here. So let me go and share my screen on Monday.com. So we'll just close this down here. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Monday.com apps. So this is new. This is really exciting, I think, for what Monday.com's doing in comparison to some of the other platforms out there. Is really enabling developers and integrators and consulting companies like us to actually go in and build some really cool integrations and things. If you're using Monday.com for something more than just project management or task management, like say a CRM. Some people are doing ERP, event management. There's lots of things you can really think about that you could actually integrate inside of your Monday.com instance. And a lot of it's like creating a quote. I mean, Monday.com out of the box, you can't really create a really great quote by doing with a number of items and groups and things like that. But one of the things that we've already been testing a concept around is actually doing a quote tool right inside of Monday.com, but it's also part of Monday.com. That's the really neat thing. So we're going to look at the apps that Monday.com's released and kind of go through that. So there's two areas that you can find these apps. The first one is actually as a board view. So if you actually click on your board view at the top, where typically I'll say main table, and you go to add a view, you'll notice you now have an apps section here where you can actually pick the apps to add on here. So that is the first area you can find them. The second area is as a widget, which would be on the dashboard itself. So if we go to just some sample dashboards here that I've been playing with, you can go in here and edit a dashboard. And let's just clean some of these up on here a little bit. This was me playing around with some of them the other day. Clear it out, there you go. So now we have blank canvas here. So if I wanted to click on add a widget, you'll see that you have your standard chart numbers, battery, timelines. These are the standard widgets you can put on, but also if you click on more, you'll notice once again, we have another little app section that we can kind of dump onto the canvas for the dashboard. So there's lots of flexibility. Now, the one thing I'll point out is, like I said, there's widgets and there's views. So on the widget side, there's going to be different apps compared to what's on a view. So with a widget, we can actually touch a number of different boards, whereas a board view is going to be specific to that board. So I can pull updates across, so like team updates from across different boards, versus if I go back onto an individual board, say my under the sales process when I'm working on, this board view is only going to be specific to the data that you're seeing inside of this board. So that's just one thing to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at these different apps and how they kind of play out. The idea here is that you might have one type of functionality, as I mentioned, like say you have a quotes board, for instance, or opportunities board. These boards, you might want to create a functionality on here that maybe on an opportunity, maybe it might, you might want to be able to go to a board view that actually loads some of this data into, say, another system. But I'll talk a little bit towards the end, a little bit more about some concepts you could kind of think about when you're trying to find a different app. Because a lot of companies like ourselves, we're going to be asking for your feedback on what kind of apps you're looking for. So that kind of gives us an idea of what we should be building out. So let's go and let's start off with dashboards. Let's go to the dashboard. Let's play with some widgets. So if you create a new dashboard, just starting from scratch, let's go on here and just say, webinar test dashboard here. I'm just going to make this private so our team doesn't see all the stuff that I'm clogging it up with. So in typical fashion, you can start building your dashboard just by picking different widgets that are kind of standard, like time tracking widgets and charts. But we're just going to jump right in and actually do some apps. So let's go in here and take a look at the different apps we have available for widgets. So we have things like team updates. And we're going to try these all out here shortly. Whether they work exactly, if I have them all set up properly, or even if I know how to work them properly, we'll see how it goes. But team updates, word cloud. So there's, I believe that we can do with that is take a lot of keywords out of a board. News updates, that's one I was already playing with. So you can pick different news sources and kind of, tidy up your home page to almost be, literally a home page that you would load up when your browser first opens. Working status, board to globe, so easily visualize your board's data by placing an interactive globe. A pivot board, sounds like some reporting stuff. The whiteboard, that's kind of neat. I was playing with that too. It's just kind of doing some scribbles and whatnot and dropping some pictures in. And also online docs, so you can actually drop the URL of a online document from like Office 365 or Google Docs, and you can display it directly inside of your board, which is kind of neat. If you have like a spreadsheet that everyone's kind of commonly working on, or maybe a Word document, a checklist that's in a Word document, you can kind of dump that in there. So, there's probably a lot of things that you could do with that. So let's go ahead and let's try out the first one. Let's go, add this dash on here, the team updates. So it comes up here and no upcoming birthdays. So it looks like it updates on different information on, I think, on our team updates, I think. So let's click on learn more and see what this is about. So one thing I'll point out, if you don't know this already, the help stuff on Monday.com is fabulous. They put a lot of effort into making sure that you can find a lot of different information on there. So let's see if we've actually got any documentation on the new apps on here. I don't think I see anything yet, and that's fine. Like I said, it's pretty new, so that's okay. Let's play around with it a little bit. So the way this is like your configuration screen. So if we take a look on the right, we have what updates we want to show: updates, work anniversaries, new joiners, switch between updates. So this is just more how often you want it to refresh, the time frame. So the maximum number of days. So basically all the birthdays occurring, in the next week. Anniversaries, same thing, and when people join. So I'm not going to change anything. We're just going to click on done. And obviously I don't have a lot of data in there because I don't think we actually track any of the birthday stuff for our users in there. So I'm not going to go and change any of that on there. But if you did want to have reminders and you did configure your users to have birthdays, I guess that would be a great way to put it on there. So if you haven't used dashboards again, you can actually kind of adjust them on the canvas to make them however you want. So we've added that one in there. Didn't really get too far with that one, but let's go take a look at some other apps on here. Let's do news updates. I know this one works because I've already been playing with it a little bit. So again, it opens up the widget settings. It asks you, well, what do you want to see? So on the right-hand side, it looks like there's some predetermined topics. So we can do general. Looks like from New York Times there. Maybe I just want to do business. Now it looks like this feed is coming directly from New York Times. So whatever you want to see on there. I like technology, so maybe we'll do that. Maybe a little sports as well, and then we'll click on done. And now we have this on our homepage. Simple as that. So all this app is really doing is giving us a nice little feed directly to New York Times. So I'm going to adjust it around a bit, and maybe I'm going to clean it up. Again, this is a nice thing with Monday's dashboard. You can kind of move stuff around and organize it how you like. So now we have that on the right-hand side. We're coming together here a little bit. Let's see what else we can put on here. Let's go add some more apps. So we've done that. We've done word cloud. We haven't done word cloud. So word cloud, let's go dump that on here. So what we can do is the word cloud, like I said, I believe it's based on the keywords. So let's go take a look and add in opportunities. And it looks like I can add in a few of them. Oh, look at that. So we have lots of stuff, lead 300, so it's adding much stuff. I had quotes in there. Oh, there we go. This is cool. So now you can start adding a lot of different things in here. And let's just dump it on there. So word cloud. You ever seen a word cloud on a WordPress site? This is a pretty good example of that. So how would you use this? Why would you use this? Well, the nice thing with word clouds is just it's almost like a heads up of what's going on. You might want to see like the word lead is a really common thing, and so is widget. So if you went to one of those boards, you'd probably see that there's a lot of things going on with leads. So it kind of brings to the forefront the most active things that are going on within that particular board. So that's kind of neat. It looks pretty good. So let's continue on. Let's see what else we have in here. So we did news updates, work status. This is a cool thing for those of you doing remote work, probably like a lot of us, is we can actually go on here and mark down. I'm going to mark down a couple of my colleagues here. We'll add Ashley in here. Let's add Dan. Let's add Tammy. And pick a kind of chart, maybe a bar type. So we're not using work status yet, but what the nice thing with your work status is, are you available? Are you available to what's your status as far as working? So you can actually have that on there. For those into traditional settings like brick and mortar or just even general offices, you probably had a check-in, check-out board at your front desk. This is a nice way of taking this and move it up here, and we could use that as a bar. Obviously, we're not really setting anything on there, but let's go have a look and add. Let's go work from home. How can we refresh this thing now? Let's go refresh. I think we should just be able to refresh it. There you go. So you can see I'm working from home now. Although I'm not entirely sure why we're not refreshing on there. Did I break it? Possibly. I'm pretty good at breaking stuff, so let the stuff load. Our work status doesn't seem to be working really well. So let's go edit this again, and let's go and just make sure we have everyone filtered on there. Good, good, good. Let's hit it there. If this doesn't work, I won't spend too much time. I'm just going to remove it. We're going to re-add it. So let's go like this. Let's go add, and let's go apps. Let's go take work status. Let's go pick some teammates again. We'll make sure I'm on there. Again, we'll pick a few more people, and we'll add David into the mix this time. So there you go. Now this time it loaded up, so you can kind of see who's working from home, who's not. Like I said, I kind of like the bar chart. That just kind of makes more sense to me. So again, I might just move that over here. Maybe we'll take this and drag it on up. Take it on up to the top, and let's go like this. And there you go. So now I can kind of see quickly, okay, who's working from home, different statuses. And as you change your statuses, if you haven't used that feature yet, the working status, you can kind of check it off. If you're a family time, out of the office, focus mode, whatever status you might have. So let's just grab one more off of the widgets, and then we'll jump over to the board views here, and I'll leave a little bit of time for questions as well. So let's take the collaborative whiteboard. I think this is kind of neat. It's I'm a big whiteboard fan, so this makes a lot of sense to me. Let's take this and let's kind of clean it up. I want to dump it in the middle there, so we're going to go down here and shrink it a little bit. There we go, and then we're going to kind of drag this guy up here right in the middle. So I kind of created my dashboard now. So how does this work? Well, it's pretty simple. I just go in here and start drawing. So I can do that. I can add some text in here. So maybe when someone else logs in, hello, how are you? it's more like a sketch pad that I might be just kind of adding some stuff in there, just to kind of quickly add things if I need to. So if I need to remove stuff, I can just kind of click on it and remove it. More of its reminders, whatnot. You can kind of do whatever you want. So it's kind of handy that way, being able to just draw some pictures in there if you need to, and draw a little smiley face if you need to as well. I'm not the best drawer though, but there you go. So it kind of gives you an idea. So that's kind of a quick example. These are all apps that are now available inside of the Monday.com apps system there, so in the marketplace. So these are all from Monday.com. Like I said, there's a lot of new stuff coming from partners just like Eligeo, so stay tuned on those. All right, so we kind of looked at dashboards. Let's go take a peek at the board views themselves. So we're going to go back to sales process, and this is just a sample sales process. I just created off a sample document, or sorry, template. So let's have a look at some board views now. So I'm going to go add a board view. Like I said, you're going to go to add views, and you're going to go find apps down here. So the way these work is a little bit different than what you saw on the homepage first, or on the dashboard. Number one, you'll notice that we're missing some dashlets. You don't see the New York Times on here, the news dashlet. So there's just a couple different things that makes this a little bit different. But our whiteboard, my trusty whiteboard's here, so we're going to go add this in here. We're going to call this, whiteboard. And what that does is it just literally drops another whiteboard on here. So I can use this for collaboration on the specific board. If I need to pin stuff on there, you can actually, if there's a URL for an image. So if we went, say, to eligeo.com, let's go grab this. I haven't actually tested this out, so we're going to see how it goes. We're going to go grab the link for the image and go dump it in here. And there you go. So now we have an image in there, Eligeo logo over there. Maybe I want to take this out. Maybe I want to add some, important sales notes here. And then I can just put them here as kind of a heads up. So that way, you could even use this and say, rename this to important notes or whatever you want to do. So that could be one way you can kind of start creating a bit more with board views on how you might want to collaborate a little bit more with your team members. And I can always click on main table to bring me back. So traditionally, your views here, you can add different table views, timeline views. That works off this data. But what the apps do is they give you its own view into whatever information. So like this whole screen underneath here can actually be its own app, and it can kind of do whatever you want. And it'll pull data from that board depending on what the developers designed it to do. So that's one thing on there. So let's go take a look at some more. I'll try one or two more here, and then we'll open up a few more questions. Let's take a look at, let's go board to globe. I might need address information to do this to actually make this work, but we'll see what this does here. So globe, I probably need some address details. Let's go configuration settings. So you click on the settings on the right-hand side is where you get the configuration settings for the actual app. So I need to pick a location column. So I don't have one right now, so we'll create one. So just by creating that, let's go back here and let's go to our main table. And there's location you'll see over here now. So let's just go punch in an address. Let's go punch in our address in Calgary. This is our head office. So let's take a look there. Let's go back to the globe. Oh, and there's the little dot for Calgary. We can zoom in. And that'll, obviously, if you have a lot more data in there, you can, oh, that's kind of cool too. You can actually see the leads. It's showing you the lead data by clicking on it. So that's pretty neat. So if you want to have more of a visual, like for a sales team that's about to go out, I mean, this is a globe view, but imagine you're a sales rep, your territory is, say, Pacific Northwest of Canada and the United States, then this is a great way of visualizing in a more specific view as you kind of zoom in on where within, say, a given geography you want to get information on different leads. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty good. So that's globe view. Just as I mentioned, you need to have a column here, location, to make that work. And let's go take a peek at some other apps here. What else do we have here? Let's try Pivot Board. So let's go take a look at Pivot Board. So this looks like it's almost like a reporting tool. So we can have a little bit of fun with this. So if you want to group stuff by certain fields, just like if you ever done pivot tables inside of Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group it based on something. Really the next action item. We don't have a ton of data to work with, but let's go play around here and see what we can do. So let's go, there's that next action I saw on there. Action item, due date, close, probability, next action item. So there we go. Next action item. So I just dropped that in. It's doing a summation pretty quickly on here for me. So that's great. So what about deal size? So if you want to do it by size of deal, you can do that too. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have on here? So maybe we can start doing charts. So now we can start doing some more reporting that, you know, this isn't something that Monday.com had in depth before. So this is pretty powerful. So you can start putting together some reporting features here that you might not have been able to do before. And it looks like you can change your aggregators here. So right now we're doing count, but if I want to do a sum or an average, median, I can do all those, maybe the maximums, the unique value. That's pretty good. So there's some pretty powerful stuff you can do on here that I think can really help people when they're trying to, you know, slice through the data. And we have a lot of clients that don't just have 3 items in there. They could probably have hundreds of items. So there's some pretty cool things you could do on there. So just to recap before I open up for questions, what you can kind of do with these apps is really take your Monday.com boards from just being a bunch of items and tracking like you would in a spreadsheet, but turning it into a full-blown system. Whether it's a reporting tool, whether it's a tool for your salespeople to actually zoom in and see what's going on in geography, or having a whiteboard to kind of sketch ideas out and kind of use that as a way to collaborate too. So there's lots of neat things on there. So I'm going to touch on a couple things around what you can expect coming, but I do invite you to, if you're on Zoom, on the Zoom button on your computer, there's a little QA button there. Feel free to punch in any questions that you have. I'll be happy to answer them. And like I said, if you run out of time, I'll certainly post those answers onto our blog later on, later this week or on Monday at the latest. So what to expect in the future with Monday.com is going to be the idea of what we can do with apps. And you just saw some pretty cool examples with the board to globe, having these kinds of features in here, being able to use settings to kind of configure your different apps inside of here, depending on what app's been built. But there's a lot of things that like we've been working on. One of them is a document generator. So taking out a row of data here and actually producing a PDF, an Excel document, or a Word document. So a great example is if you're doing a proposal for a client and there's specific items you need to pick off on the list. You would check off a few items, maybe there's a dollar amount, who the client is, their address information. All that can be populated as a mail merge right into your into a document. That's one example. I've mentioned a quote example. Other ideas that you might want to look at doing is maybe some kind of approval mechanism. So maybe there's a whole list of approvals that you might want to build an approval module in here. So we would say that only certain users can actually approve different items based on criteria. So again, I'm just brainstorming here. These are just kind of ideas. They're not necessarily the what's coming, but there's certainly things to start thinking about where you can kind of take the application a whole lot further than you could have before. So yeah, that's kind of a summation on the apps themselves. We talked about board view apps. We talked about dashboard, the dashboard side of things too. We did our test dashboard with the New York Times, working status, as well as a whiteboard feature and whatnot. So hopefully that kind of gave you a nice little overview of what the Monday.com apps can do and what's coming as well. So we got a few minutes left. I thought I'd open it up for questions now. Let's go ahead here. Let me have a look. All right, so I have Stephanie. When can we expect more apps to come? Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, so I'll give you a little bit of background. We started in development and piloting and beta work a few months ago. So we have concepts that we've built. I do know that there's other partners that have actually they're a lot further along than us, which is totally fine. As a group of Monday.com partners, we're really encouraging each other to help push this along. So we're probably A couple, probably a few months away, I think. I think that it depends on the roadmap for Monday.com, but the messaging is that within a few months there should be a marketplace available. You might not be able to actually go in and purchase them, but you would be able to get them directly from a partner. So we'll keep everyone apprised of when that happens, and I'll make sure that we get that info out to you. Okay, Jeff, question on the working status. How come it's not loading? That's a great question. I think it's I probably have a setting incorrect on here. It's probably what that is, something to do with on there. So I'm certain I'll follow up on it to find out on there as well. And Jeff also again is asking, can you click onto any of the word cloud? And not in this example. I'm assuming you're probably referring to being able to jump to a board where you've clicked on that. I'm not really sure how that could potentially work. I'd have to think about that a little bit. But I think the intention behind this, at least this beginning app, was to give an example of bringing to the forefront keywords that are really impactful. So if you see an impactful word, it's almost like a heads-up display, kind of telling you to take a better look at a specific thing on your board. So certainly, like I said, these are new, and I think that as you see more iterations come, there'll be a little more features on there. But right now, it's just view only. Okay, and I think that looks like that's all the questions that we have today. So that's not so bad, and we're under the clock, so that's good news too. If there's no more questions, I just want to thank you all for joining again today for our user group. We'll be doing this again next week. Not sure on the topic yet, but there's always updates with Monday.com, so we'll be very excited to share the latest and greatest again next week. So stay tuned for an email later this week or Monday with the recording that you can share. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.